Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Intro to ShareFile, the secure IT alternative to personal file sharing. My name is Liz, and I will be your moderator. With me today, I have Amanda Schwaner and Zach Missler. Amanda is a ShareFile territory manager who has been with Citrix for more than 4 years. A graduate of East Carolina University, Amanda specializes in connecting customers with the right secure content collaboration tools to meet their unique business needs. Welcome, Amanda. And we also have Zach Missler. Zach is a Citrix sales engineer and all-around technical expert in building secure software-defined perimeters. Born and raised in North Carolina, Zach has been with Citrix for more than 3 years and has a passion for cloud apps and computing. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, team, during today's webinar, we will be highlighting the fastest growing IT solution at Citrix. Citrix ShareFile is a secure IT-managed cloud collaboration platform, and it's built for the needs of the enterprise. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We'll briefly discuss some of the growing challenges and digital workspaces that we know you all experience on a day-to-day basis. We'll also review a high-level overview of ShareFile, but we're going to spend the bulk of today's presentation diving into some of the specifics. Stay tuned for more about how you can make your workforce more productive with connected content repositories from multiple systems, update your infrastructure without migrating data, build on your existing IT investments within and beyond Citrix, and maintain security and compliance regulations. Now, we would love to hear from you during today's webinar. Please use the chat or Q&A panel at any time during the webinar to ask questions, comments, and thoughts. Additionally, we will be recording today's webinar, and we'll be sharing that recording with everyone shortly after the conclusion of the webinar. All right, with that, I'm going to hand things over to Amanda, who's going to get us kicked off. Take it away, Amanda. We can't hear you just yet. Amanda, that sounds like you.
Thanks, Liz. So to kick us off, we are going to talk about some of the digital workspace challenges that we hear day to day. First off, we're going to start out with the productivity gap. So I'm sure you are all, you may have data in SharePoint, a C drive, network shares. You may apply this to your personal data as well. On your cloud, on your mobile device. Data fragmentation isn't going anywhere. It's just going to continue to grow as more and more cloud providers emerge in the market. Next, we have disjointed teams. So different teams within the organization utilize different systems. This causes end-user confusion and the inability for your IT support team to support all those various products. Legacy infrastructure. So we find that a lot of organizations, while looking at the cloud, slowly moving toward it, they've made heavy investments in their file servers. So the question is, how can they leverage those existing investments? To go along with disjointed teams, we have limited integrations. So tools that they're using that don't have viable integrations, it causes a roadblock to workplace cohesion. Lastly, but most importantly, security and compliance. So in today's workplace, when a user needs to access something, oftentimes we find they'll go outside of a company-regulated resource to be able to do their job in a convenient manner. This puts the company and the data at risk and removes that control from IT, but it's also mandatory in the regulated industries such as finance and healthcare. So moving right along, we have how ShareFile enables the digital workspace. So we've seen the challenges that customers face day to day. Let's dive into how ShareFile can help. So you can see it helps to increase workforce productivity by giving you access to your data online or offline wherever you are.
And then various teams can collaborate using one single platform inside or outside your organization. Those legacy FTP and file servers, it brings them into a mobile and cloud era. And it also provides a hybrid solution. So it allows you to exist or leverage your existing on-prem cloud investments. And it does all of this in a secure manner with a full audit trail on the back end. So as you can see, ShareFile is a critical piece of our digital workspace offering. XenApp and XenDesktop, they'll enable you and your users to function seamlessly in your day-to-day operations. They make the application and desktop management more scalable and secure, but ShareFile similarly provides an efficient and secure way to access multiple data sources and streamline those workflows from any device. So we've outlined, and as you can see, this is not a new story. So we work with 84,000 business customers, 20 million business users in 168 different countries, and 50% of these customers are enterprise users, and we continue to work with 99% of Fortune 500 companies.
It's pretty awesome stats there, Amanda. So now we've talked about at a high level how ShareFile complements this digital workspace. What we're going to do now is dive into more specifics on the functions and features that ShareFile has that can actually address these. So specifically, we're going to start with increased workforce productivity. When we talk about this, it's about how you can manage all your content across all of your devices, whether it's mobile, laptops, desktops, or VDI environments. We're going to talk about how we can complement that secure mobile productivity as well. So whether you're on the go, not going to have internet, you may need that data online or offline. We'll talk about how we can address that. And then also, if you have any of these antiquated paper-based workflows, we're going to tell you how ShareFile helps you automate those. So to start, one of the big things that ShareFile is great at is how we can sync content across multiple devices. So now, no matter where you are on the road and on the go, you're going to have access to all of that data. So now if I pull out my iPhone now and say I need to get access to a file that lives on a network file share that I may use, I can access that data through ShareFile. Then if I go to my laptop, I can open up that. At the same time, if I have a tablet and I'm in a customer meeting, I'll be able to open that up and have that same content synced across every one of these devices. It's really powerful access.
So Zach, what if I don't want to pay for Wi-Fi on a flight? Can I still access that data?
Absolutely, it's a great question. What's cool about ShareFile too is that, again, in every facet that you're accessing your data, we're going to give you that simple ability to sync offline as well. So no matter if you have any kind of internet access or not, it'll still keep you efficient and productive in the way of accessing your data online or offline. Again, as we were talking about, we're seamlessly accessing multiple content repositories that you have through every one of your devices. So even if you're mobile and you have an iPad, Android, tablet, anything of that nature, you're still going to be able to access all of your data. We have what we refer to as ShareFile data, so that's anything that lives within ShareFile itself, whether that be My Files and Folders or shared folders, as you can see on the screen here. But any of those content repositories that you guys use also that are necessity for your day-to-day functions. So whether you're hosting your SharePoint sites on premise, maybe you've got online SharePoint repositories, you're using Office 365, or any of those network file shares that you guys use in your day-to-day, using your mobile devices, ShareFile will still give you a seamless VPN. So along with the mobile devices, we can address this through from a desktop footprint. ShareFile has what's called the ShareFile Drive Mapper application. What's great about this tool is that it's optimized for your XenApp and XenDesktop environments. It's a Windows File Explorer integration. What's great about it, it doesn't download any of the files locally. It uses the single file pointers. Because we do this, now we can expose multiple repositories again. So now I have a single pane of glass in my Windows File Explorer where I can get to ShareFile data, I can get network file shares, I can reach my OneDrive data that it wouldn't be exposed in a VDI environment. All of this inside of a single application. So one thing that we're really pumped about here at ShareFile is how we're helping you with automating a lot of these workflows. There's currently a lot of you guys may have some pretty manual workflow processes where you're doing a lot of data capture in the field, where you're using, maybe it's a paper-based process, you're taking pictures with a digital camera, audio recording, and then you're going to have to go back to the office, do some data entry into your management system, and it's a really slow, antiquated process where you're even taking papers to maybe your supervisor for final approval. It's it's a lot of multiple manual steps that are in place right now. It's it can be kind of.
Zach, that actually brings up a great point. So not only do we hear this from the customer side, a ton of customers still using pen and paper for manual processes, but I personally experienced earlier this year, I had to file a claim. I had some damage from a fire that occurred in my apartment. So every single day I had to fill out manually each item that was damaged. I had to scan that file, fax it over to the claims adjuster. They had to send it to their management for approval, then scan and fax that document back to me. And we went back and forth for about 2 weeks until the whole process was finalized. I looked back and thought if they had ShareFile and were able to automate that process, that would have sped up the end result.
Which is, that's a fantastic example. With ShareFile now, a lot of things that we're doing is that you can do all of this form submission, data gathering through a single mobile form that then gets automatically submitted into ShareFile with these really lightweight workflows that, we'll utilize these if-then scenarios where, if this form gets uploaded, then we'll send it off for, final signature, or maybe to receive feedback. And all of this is done is in a really seamless consumer-grade user interface. Again, it's a very easy and lightweight workflow creation. So if you don't have a computer coding background, you could still build out all of the great tool that we have now. And here's more of an example. So specifically with Claims Adjuster here, you can see that, on the right side, we have a mobile form where, if I'm a claims agent, I can go out in the field, I can go to the site of the accident here and take pictures, record a video, maybe an audio submission, and I can upload that back in a ShareFile. And based on that form submission, I can say, all right, so once it's actually completed and uploaded, it'll send off to a final approval over to my manager. They'll review the content within, hit final approval, and then initiate even an electronic signature, so I can send that document off to get a legally binding signature. All of these things can happen in a series of, a matter of minutes first, before having to take that paper that was collected at the accident site, the actual claims, take it back to the office, input it into your management system, then send it over to your manager to get approval on that. It's, a lot of different departments are involved, a lot of manual process to actually get content from A to B to C. Now we can do that all in the back end with ShareFile. It's really fantastic. Next piece in this digital workspace is really the infrastructure modernization, right? How do we get to that digital workspace? We can't keep relying on a lot of these antiquated systems like, a legacy FTP server, FTP, or any of your file servers. What ShareFile is great at is we're going to help you mobilize all that content, and using that connector functionality, as I showed you with Drive Mapper, and our data too. And by the same extent, we're also optimized for cloud or on-premise. So maybe you're not quite ready to make that move to the cloud, but we can still give you the same great functionality that comes with ShareFile, but keeping your data where it lives today. So talking about that point, storage flexibility, you're in charge, right? You get to choose where your data's at. So maybe you want to give the functionality that your end users request with that mobility of anywhere access to their data, but maybe there's the security policies in place, there's compliance that you have to maintain where you have to host the data. ShareFile is going to give you the flexibility to host that data on-premise in a server that you maintain behind your firewall. If you guys are ready to make the transition to the cloud, you can also use ShareFile as that avenue where Citrix can host your data on servers that we manage and maintain. And if you're looking for more of that kind of flexible hybrid environment, we can also help you address that as well. Again, with this helps you meet any data sovereignty or compliance laws that you have to maintain. Being able that you can host the data while still providing the flexibility really is a benefit from the compliance standpoint. And then if you're hosting data as well, or if you're using any of these Citrix managed storage zones that we have where you can push it in different locations, we'll help improve performance of actually getting to the data by keeping it closer to the users. To give you kind of an idea of the flexibility that we can see, here's a couple locations that we have for our Citrix managed Microsoft Azure zones. So these are different locations that are available to their customers for them to host their data. Next, we have Citrix managed Amazon zones, so AWS storage zones. Again, these are managed by us, but more flexibility for you to pick and choose where your data is hosted. If you've got an office in Europe, you've got an office in California, you've got the ability to meet those requests. And then these next are really, to me, these are really impactful because these show all of our customer managed storage zones that are deployed. So this is showing you how widespread you can push these. And again, they're customer managed, so you've got the ability to choose where that location is, where you're hosting the data, and that, again, the peace of mind knowing that you're the ones hosting it as well. Next piece of the digital workspace is flexible integration. So one of the headaches with current IT is that there's just this pain point with data fragmentation. Right? There's so many different repositories that exist out in this world that as an IT administrator, you don't have any kind of oversight or any kind of reporting on. So you don't know if you're losing intellectual property or anything that may be sensitive in nature because it lives in these different content repositories. With ShareFile, we're going to help you address that data fragmentation while also leveraging a lot of those existing IT investments that you have. With that, we'll support that ecosystem that you have for address those needs. And then, we are a Citrix product, so we're going to mesh really nicely with the rest of your Citrix product suite. So right here, you can see is kind of the pain points that you'll have with a standard enterprise company. You'll have Office 365 spread out, but each person will have their own OneDrive account with their data existing within there. You'll have a personal cloud or personal file sharing tools, say like a Box or Google Drive, a Dropbox that exist out there. You'll have a lot of data, a lot of content and data that exists in your SharePoint libraries as well. And then again, those legacy file servers that exist out there. How do you tie all of those together? What's the key to connect those sources? And that's where ShareFile comes in. As you can see, these are all of our list of connectors, and we're going to give you a single pane of glass of access to all of this data that you may have. So now your users will have one access point to everything that may be pertinent to their day-to-day activities. So if I need to hit my personal Dropbox account, I can go in there. If I need to hit any file servers while I'm on the go and on the road, I'll be able to do that. Maybe I need to grab an attachment out of Microsoft Exchange. I can do that with our connectors as well. To really drive the point home, and specifically for our XenApp and XenDesktop environments out there, that Drive Mapper is really the best way to do this. A lot of times I've seen customers who will, front end their Office 365 account with OneDrive just Mapper, or for their OneDrive account. How do you get your data if you have a VDI environment like that? By the same extent, network file shares, those personal cloud accounts, everything that you may not be able to get in a single access point, you'll be able to do now with this Drive Mapper. And what's great, instead of using those personal cloud solutions, Drive Mapper, again, we're not going to download all the files to your local cache, so it's not going to overwhelm those VDI environments. So expanding on that greater Citrix picture, we do integrate with XenMobile. So you have users who are mobile, you have company devices out there that you want to give that same flexibility and mobility that ShareFile provides, but ShareFile is a secure file sharing solution, so you're going to have sensitive content in there. You want to make sure that you can provide that flexibility without losing the security oversight. So XenMobile is a great mobile device management solution that allows you to do this. And with our integration, you'll get an extended suite of security controls that allow you to have that IT oversight and control that you guys need. And with any of our Citrix Cloud customers out there, if you're slowly making that transition, ShareFile is going to plug directly in there. So now your user management, your permission management, data management, everything that you do within ShareFile today, all of that can be managed through that Citrix Cloud interface. So there's no access point and the same controls that you would have if you're going straight to sharefile.com or using your Citrix Cloud account. Lastly, but honestly, it's probably the most important, is the security and compliance. A lot of times the fear with the cloud is, again, the security component, and that's what we believe is one of our strongest features that we have is, with ShareFile, you'll be able to protect your IP, so that intellectual property that you have, you'll feel comfortable putting that data into ShareFile. Any kind of regulatory requirements that you may need to meet, ShareFile will help you address those as well. And then the big fear with data fragmentation is, where's my data, and the lack of oversight. And ShareFile is going to provide that for you. It's going to give you that audit and reporting on all of that data access and sharing that happens with your content. So with ShareFile, maybe you're not utilizing a solution like XenMobile, but we do have native device security built in. So now, if you want to protect, if you want to be able to provide access to your data from a mobile standpoint, you'll be able to disable any external applications, any third-party applications, so you can sandbox that data into a ShareFile application. By the same extent, you're going to be able to remote wipe, lock out any of these devices, whether it's a desktop application or a mobile application. So if I run to IT and say I lost my iPhone over the weekend, content out of there. And all that content, as it lives within ShareFile, that data is protected at rest. We do use a 256-bit AES encryption while that files are sitting at rest. So again, like we were saying with data fragmentation, the biggest headache is that you don't have the oversight of where it is. If I've got 1,000 employees, that means there's a potential for 1,000 personal Dropbox account. And if I'm putting anything that may be sensitive, that's 1,000 sensitive documents that I really don't know what's happening with. ShareFile has a full suite of reporting and auditing that really, really helps you keep track of everything that's going on. So now you give that functionality that your end users request and desire by using these personal Dropbox accounts, but you will always know who is doing what within your account, from whether it's failed logins to any downloads, uploads, and actually sharing out externally to any third parties. You have full oversight now with using ShareFile. So again, let's continue this security conversation and talk about an integration we have with DLP. So data loss prevention. DLP is a really strong solution. We integrate with a lot of third parties as long as they use what's called the ICAP protocol. So a lot of the big names, Symantec, McAfee, ForcePoint, you know what DLP does, it allows you to put policies based on your data that scans any of the files, for example, and says, all right, based on the security policy, we're going to restrict the sharing of what you can do with these files if it violates any of these policies. So if I have, social security number in a file, if I've got credit card information in a file, now I can go in and say, all right, well, only employees can view this file, but they can't share it externally. They're not allowed to download it as well. And this is how the integration works with ShareFile. So if you do have that where you're dealing with a lot of sensitive information, you want to take that extra level of protection by utilizing a current resource that you have, like DLP. ShareFile is going to integrate with that solution. To complement the sharing controls, we do have what's called information rights management. So ShareFile has always been fantastic at addressing sending files securely, right? I can email with ShareFile and send an attachment that's encrypted using 256-bit SSL encryption in transit, 256-bit AES encryption at rest. But what happens after that file is downloaded, right? What's the next step from there? If I can download the file after that security is on it, I can now forward it off to someone else. IRAM keeps that leash on the file even after it's downloaded. So now I can put controls and encryption and authorization on what people can do with the file at the file level itself. So if I want to say that a user can only view this file, and if for some reason they forward it off, they will not be able to access it, I can do that. If I want them the ability to view and print with a specific watermark actually on the document, I can put that content in there. Even if I want to control, view, print, and edit, and actually allow them to make adjustments to the file itself, I can have that kind of control. What's great about this, though, is that at any point in time, you can go in and actually expire that file so no one can have access to it. So again, you're never losing that control on your sensitive information, on your intellectual property. You're always going to have that leash on it. So again, one of the big things is, there is some concern and fear with moving to the cloud. I know it's a slower process for some, other people accept it, but with this integration right here, we allow our customers to manage their own encryption keys. This makes that fear a little less of a fear, and a little bit easier to make that transition to cloud. So now you own the encryption keys. With ShareFile, we do integrate with Amazon KMS for that customer encryption key ownership. So at any point in time, you can always go in, expire access to those encryption keys, and revoke access to any of your data as well. So this keeps that control with the customer itself, and allows you guys to make that cloud transition with more of a peace of mind.
So with and apps and desktop to secure and manage your apps and desktop, you can see how ShareFile is an important part of the Citrix digital workspace offering. It helps to provide and increase that user productivity. It helps to improve your collaboration among all your different teams and departments, helps to modernize your infrastructure, and allows for flexible integrations while protecting all of your data.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda and Zach, for walking us through that high-level overview, and especially for diving into some of the security pieces. I know we got a couple of questions in around that one. I just wanted to remind everyone that after today's webinar, you will be receiving a copy of today's recording, as well as more information on upcoming webinars. Zach and Amanda, we did have a couple of questions that came in, and folks, if you have any more open questions, please do go ahead and submit those into the Q&A inbox right now. There's still plenty of time to ask. But we had a couple that came in today. And the first one was really around integrations. We talked a lot about using ShareFile as part of an integrated Citrix suite, inclusive of XenDesktop and XenApp. But if I need some kind of a ShareFile be used as a standalone tool in a standalone environment?
Absolutely. There's we being a Citrix product integrates seamlessly with the greater Citrix suite, but at its core, ShareFile was a standalone product first. So if you need ShareFile for that specific content management, 100% absolutely you can do that.
That's awesome. Okay, great. And then second question was really around connecting data repositories. So we talked about you've got all of these different options. How do I, as an IT admin, say, yes, I want my end users to be able to pull in data, maybe from personal file sharing services? Those were some of the things you mentioned around Google Drive or a Dropbox account. Or can I restrict access to that and make that decision for my users?
So we treat all of our connectors like we treat our folders. It's a very granular permission base. So as the IT administrator, you know what kind of connectors are available in your account, but you can actually divvy out access on who gets access to what. So if you do have, maybe there's a team Dropbox account for your marketing team, you can make it so only the marketing team knows that there's a Dropbox connector available for them to use. It's really up to you as the IT administrator to divvy out that kind of access.
Thank you so much, both of you. I think that concludes our questions. Folks, if you do have any follow-up questions, you're welcome to reach back out to us. You can find more information on citrix.com/ShareFile. Again, we will send another copy of today's recording after the session. And stay tuned for more webinars coming up soon. A couple are scheduled in October. So thank you all for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you soon.